Find the crows, Fallon, and they will make you a queen.
You're saying that I'll marry Dante?
I'm kind of going through a phase in my life where I have read so many books that I basically pick up any book that just catches my eye, regardless if it's the title of the book or just the cover. I just get it without even looking at the description of it or the premise. And that's how I got my hands on The House of Beating Wings by Olivia Wildenstein. So when the book arrived, I finally got the back to read what the synopsis of the book is, and we're starting off pretty strong. Fantasy romance full of lies, betrayal, and fake love. And then I read the second line. A true feast for fans of Sarah J. Maas. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Sarah J. Maas writing. Every single time that I pick up a book that is apparently supposed to be similar to it, I get a very bad feeling about it. Nonetheless, I still decided to read it because it sounded pretty cool. It's a fantasy novel with fae where they live in a world divided by many kingdoms, and the kingdom that our main character Fallon lives in is called Luz. Our main character Fallon is a 22-year-old girl who is a half fae, and she lives with her disabled mom and her grandma who's pure blood. One day Fallon meets a very strange woman who tells her a prophecy that if she frees 5 crows, she will become a queen. Now, I don't know about you, but that premise sounds really cool to me, and I was intrigued. There's going to be a ton of spoilers for the book, so if you're not interested, definitely click off of the video. The story starts with a flashback with 12-year-old Fallon who falls into a river full of very dangerous snakes, and the whole village witnesses it. They expect her to be basically shredded into pieces in just a second, but somehow the snake that goes close to her doesn't seem to hurt her, and people are becoming suspicious. Like, wait, is she able to talk to the snake so that it doesn't kill her? What's going on over here? Her grandma catches up to Fallon, realizes what's happening, and immediately starts distracting everyone so that they don't notice what Fallon is doing. She pulls out her granddaughter from the water and warns her to never ever talk about what happened there and to keep it a secret. However, since then, Fallon kind of has this reputation that people kind of gossip about her potentially being able to talk to snakes. Now we're back at the present time. Fallon is 22 and her crush, Dante, comes back from being absent for 4 years. Dante is a pure-blood fae who is also a prince. His older brother Marco is the king, and Dante used to go to this prestigious school with Fallon. That's kind of how they met, but they haven't seen each other for the past 4 years. They kind of have a history together. Now, we're gonna point the first issue that I'm having with the main character. Fallon has nothing in life except for Dante. Her brain is just Dante. There is nothing else in it. Fallon, to sustain herself, also works in a tavern, and I would put the word tavern in quotations because in reality it's a brothel. And so let's talk about Fallon's idea of intimacy and relationships, because it is very heavily connected to her job at this tavern. All of her coworkers basically are ladies who do sexual activities for money, and Fallon is kind of the opposite of her coworkers. She thinks that she is a hopeless romantic. She, of course, is a virgin, and she really emphasizes it. Her idea of being intimate with someone is to have her first time with someone who she's gonna be with forever, which I can understand. The problem that I have with Fallon, however, is the fact that she slut shames every single one of her friends. Fallon constantly shames other women for the work they do and acts like she's better than this. And I understand the fact that Fallon doesn't want to do any intimate activities like that outside of being in a committed relationship. But girl, what's this slut shaming for? I'm not even gonna mention the fact that Fallon ends up being extremely hypocritical because she constantly emphasizes that she doesn't shame her friends for the work they do, while simultaneously shaming them for the work they do and priding herself on the fact that she doesn't do what they do. Do you feel the disconnection here? Dante, the prince, that he's now back in the kingdom, wants to throw a ball where he's going to invite the finest people in the kingdom, and obviously our main character assumes she's gonna get an invitation. However, she doesn't get one and naturally is really hurt by this. So when the night of the ball falls, she decides to go with some of her friends who also didn't get an invitation to a different city to just party, drink a little bit, and have fun. She gets to spend some time alone with Antoni, who long ago expressed interest in her, but she rejected him. And she literally boasts herself on the fact that he, Antoni, slept with every single girl in the town except for her. Bruh. Okay, lady, I don't shame anyone for their choices. And so she takes advantage of his feelings and starts making out with him to forget about Dante for just one night. Wonderful. She has to stop the makeout session, go to the bathroom, and on her way there, she stumbles upon a very strange looking woman who tells her a prophecy. The woman tells her that if she frees 5 crows, she will become a queen. And now let me present to you my biggest problem with this entire book. The MC is so dumb. I generally really don't like calling both people and fictional characters dumb or stupid because I feel like, you can't really control the way you're thinking. And it's not like, I don't know, calling someone a douchebag where I know that they make a conscious choice of acting like a douchebag. However, you can't really say that about someone being stupid. You can't say that someone chooses to be stupid, right? But oh my lord, Fallon is so stupid. And I don't mean it in a naive, childlike way. I mean it straight up stupid. From the very beginning, it's obvious that Fallon doesn't know who her father is, and she has some sort of animal-related superpowers and is not who she thinks she is. You can say basically from the very first chapter that her grandma is hiding her real identity from her. It's also said that 20 years ago there was a war between Fae and a different kingdom, and now they isolated themselves from that other nation. I think it's very safe to say that we all realized very quickly that Fallon's father was most probably from the enemy side. And when we hear about this prophecy that Fallon can become a queen if she finds the crows, then you just naturally assume that she's probably some sort of lost princess from that other kingdom. So explain to me why Fallon made this conclusion. Find the crows, Fallon, and they will make you a queen.
You're saying that I'll marry Dante?
How? I have to find the crows, give him to Dante, and then he's gonna propose to me. But no, I meant find the crows, Fallon, and they will make you a queen. Besides, Dante's not even the first in line to the throne. I wonder how our honeymoon will look like. You know what? No, I've done my part. I had to put the book down to process this way of thinking. Her conclusions make no sense. They literally come out of nowhere. This is again what I mean when I say that she is so obsessed with Dante and the idea of being with him that she basically connects everything to him. She can have all the clues she needs to make some sort of conclusion, but she just doesn't. For example, when Dante comes back, all of her friends are starting to talk about the fact that Dante is seeing some sort of princess from a different land and he is spending nights with her, and it's very possible that he's gonna marry her for political reasons. Fallon just says no.
No, permission denied. That's an off-topic question. Next, you have been stopped.
And the prophecy doesn't make it any better because she created this illusion in her head that if she finds the crow, she's gonna marry him. So no logical explanations come to her head. She's just set on marrying him, and she believes that she's destined agreement to marry him. After a ball, Fallon confronts Dante and asks him why he didn't invite her, to which Dante replies, surprised. He says that, no, I did send you an invitation. I was actually surprised that you didn't show up. It turned out that the grandma hid an invitation. Dante apologizes to Fallon for this inconvenience and asks her on a date as an apology. Considering that Fallon is quite poor, she asks one of her rich friends if he could borrow her one of his sister's dresses and shoes for the date. So they go and visit this friend's mansion. Her friend also asks her if they could go to the vault because he also wants to take some money from it. And would you believe that in that vault, surprise, surprise, there's a crow. Yes, the crow that Fallon was looking for. She wasn't actually looking for it. It just magically landed into her hands, I guess. But the crow is basically an iron statuette with an obsidian dagger in its heart. And a key information that we learn here is that iron and obsidian are highly toxic for Fae and half-Fae. It can actually even kill them, but our main character, Fallon, is immune to it. Again, we get clues and Fallon doesn't pick up on them. She asks her friend if she can take the statuette, and the friend just agrees because he says, well, it's gonna piss off my parents and I'm kind of a rebel, so go ahead, take it. We're having a guest again. Yeah, look at her. When Fallon gets home, she takes out the dagger from the crow's heart, and it turns out that this is not a statuette, it's alive. We also learned that in that war 20 years ago, they were fighting against an army that was using crows. Again, clues that Fallon does not pick up on. Now Dante and Fallon go on a little date. Now a little trigger warning, I'm gonna be talking briefly about a potential sexual assault, so that is something you're not okay with hearing about. You can try to skip to the next chapter. I'll put the chapters in the description so that it's easier for you. Now let me unpack this entire mess of a first date. This was the most uncomfortable smut scene I've ever read. Since we already know that she's a virgin, this is her first time having sex and she is in pain the entire time. She, and I will quote to you because I have written down exact words that she said, wants to scream, is holding back tears, tries to slow him down, but he doesn't listen, and then just gives up and prays that it's finally over. The thing is that I thought that this scene was written like this on purpose. I thought that it's written in a very uncomfortable way to make Fallon realize that maybe Dante is not as good of a man as she thought she is. I thought that it's gonna have consequences later, but no. It is literally played off as a joke. She goes to her more experienced coworkers and she just yells at them, half joking, like, why didn't you tell me that the first time hurt so much? And everyone laughed. If you are a young person watching this, first of all, why are you watching this? And second of all, you're not supposed to hurt. And it is not okay to want to scream and cry out of pain. And the fact that it later never comes back, it's never portrayed as a bad thing that happened to Fallon. And I don't know, I'm actually kind of angry because it sends like a really weird message and I don't really like it. We're reaching to the half mark of the book where Fallon finally decides that she needs to leave her country so that she can go and find other crows. She decides to escape during the night from her kingdom, and I'm saying escape because she is not allowed to leave the kingdom. She finds the woman that told her about the prophecy in the first place. She gives her a horse that literally just brings her to the second crow. The girl has to do nothing. She is just basically taken there by this horse and a crow who's looking after her. The crow that is constantly following her, the one that she freed previously, is able to send her telepathically these images and memories, so she's able to learn more about the war from the crow's perspective. She learns that the enemy used to be the crow people, and the crow that she's trying to free is one of them. The horse leads her to the second crow, she frees it, and she assumes that it's gonna be two separate crows that are gonna be following her now. But it turns out that the second crow merges with the first one and it creates one bigger crow. And now that crow has even more abilities. It gained the ability to speak. Fallon names the crow Morgan and he tells her more and more about this crow kingdom. For example, he tells her that they used to have a king named Lore, and also she notices that the crow that she's trying to help is kind of referring to those crow people as my people.
I noticed that you call the crows my people.
Well, yes.
So you're kind of like a king of crows.
Yes.
So the crow king and the king of crows are two different people.
Makes sense. I mean, I still don't know what it has to do with Dante, but like, sure. How does she not connect it? Even better, this girl still thinks that when she's gonna free all the crows and help this crow king, that she's gonna marry Dante? I don't know, but okay. It's so funny because Margot / Lore, wink wink, we officially don't know that it's him yet. He doesn't even correct her, he just lets her live with her delusional thoughts. Fallon's father used to be one of the crow people and he used to serve the king. We also learn from the crowd that Dante and the king sent an entire army to chase Fallon. And again, she doesn't see that there's something wrong with Dante. She just thinks that, oh, that's weird. Skipping a little bit forward, the next crow is buried next to a mansion of one of her relatives from her mom's side, who just happens to be throwing a party. When Fallon decides to attend this party, finally Dante catches up to her and at the beginning pretends to be super worried about her, but very quickly it turns out that he just wants to stop her from freeing all the crows and helping the Crow King, because if she does it, then the Crow people are gonna start the war again with Faye. Dante also indirectly tells Fallon that they would never ever work out as a couple, they would definitely never marry, and also that him and that princess are kind of a thing. And it's so strange because her reaction literally is like, oh my god, so the prophecy lied to me? I'm not gonna marry you? You made that up in your head. It's not the prophecy that lied to you, it's you yourself. It's even funnier because Dante is so baffled at the fact that Fallon doesn't even realize who she's helping.
You do realize that the crow you're helping is Lore, right?
Lore?
You mean the Crow King?
Yes.
You lied to me.
Well, technically I never lied to you, I just didn't correct you. Fallon feels really betrayed by this and she's blaming herself and saying, oh no, I'm so stupid, how could I not see it coming? To which Lore replies,
I can tell a lot about you, Fallon, but stupid is definitely not one of them.
What? Sir, I think there has been a mistake. I think your line was supposed to be the opposite.
I can't tell a lot about you, Fallon, but stupid is definitely one of them.
Fallon truly is so stupid. It actually is so bad to the point that it's painful to read. You wait the entire book for the main character to basically catch up to the reader. You have to go through her overly simplistic way of thinking and you get really frustrated when you see that the main character gets clues basically served on a silver platter and she's still looking at it like, What do you want me to do with it? The girl is also so fixated on Dante that it's just simply annoying to read about, which brings me to my main point that I want to make while talking about this book. It has such a cool plot, great world building. I was really interested and intrigued about what is gonna happen next, but everything is ruined by the main character. This book easily could have been a 4, maybe even a 5-star book if it wasn't for the MC. Towards the end of the book, Dante and the Crow King form an alliance where basically Dante agrees to help Lore to free all his crows in exchange for Lore killing Marco, who's the king, so that Dante can take over the throne, which actually might be my favorite part of the book. This book has great court intrigues, politics, backstabbing, and also a glimpse of grey morality within characters. But everything is overshadowed by the MC, because obviously the whole book is written from her perspective. I do have to say that once Fallon learns about this alliance, I really like how she reacted. She basically says, once everything is over, when you and your crows go back to your home, I will leave loose, and both of you. You can even kill each other. I don't care. Finally, she realizes that she can't be treated like a pawn, and I really like that she didn't just immediately jump to Lore's side when she was betrayed by Dante, but rather she decided to just isolate herself from both of them and realize that both of them are using her. I really like that, and this is what I really wish she did more in this book. I do believe that the authors simply wanted to write a very naive character in the first book so that she can have a big character development in the other books. But that's exactly where the problem lies. If you want to give your characters a major character development, you need to give us, the readers, a reason to root for them. I get it that she was supposed to be a naive girl, but in reality, she doesn't appear that way. She just appears stupid. And not only that, she has no other positive traits. I would like her to have some other stuff going in her life except for Dante, because unfortunately, we don't have anything. We don't have literally any reason to root for her. I think that it would be great if, for example, she loved her family so much, she would be very fiercely protective over it. I don't know, just give her any traits. Like, there's so many things you can do, but it's the opposite. The main character is a compilation of only negative traits. Stupid being the main one, but not the only one. We also have to deal with her hopeless romantic nature. And I'm putting the quotations here because I can no longer stand her pretending to be hopeless romantic. In reality, this is just an excuse for the main character to slut shame other characters, while being, by the way, very hypocritical about it. She is also incredibly selfish, because the second that she learns about the prophecy, she acts like such a entitled little brat. She constantly talks about, once I become queen, I'm gonna fire him, I'm gonna punish them, and I'm gonna take my vengeance on them. Really? That sounds so obnoxious. Why would I want her to become a queen? Why would I, as a reader, want her to fulfill this prophecy? And speaking of the prophecy, her completely illogical connection between becoming a queen and marrying Dante. She also literally never questions the prophecy. She just accepts it. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna become the queen. Also, when it comes to the crows, which was for me a huge disappointment, was that she never actually had to look for them herself. She was always taken to the locations of the crows, or the crows were being brought to her. She never ever had to look for clues and try to find them on her own. It actually got so ridiculous to the point that the MC kind of breaks the fourth wall, and she says that, oh, it's such a convenient coincidence. Just because the main character says that it's a convenient coincidence does not make it a good writing. Not to mention that it was just really weird when I realized that 4 men are into her. We have the mean guard, Dante and Tony, and then Lore. 4 men. Name one reason why they're into her. I don't know, because she has no positive traits. So let's try to sum it up. I really like the idea for the story. I genuinely think that it's a unique concept and I was excited to read about it. I probably would rate this book pretty high if it wasn't for the MC. Without the MC, this could have been a 4-star book, but because of the MC, I am lowering it to maybe like 1.5 stars. I do hope that she gets better in the other books because there is a possibility that I'm gonna reach for the other ones since I just enjoyed the plot and I do kind of want to know what's gonna happen next. When it comes to the writing style, I both liked it and disliked it. Now let me explain. I liked it because it was quite simple and easy to read. I was able to read quite a lot of pages in just one sitting, but that's also the reason why I disliked it, because I felt like it was actually too simple. There were a lot of sexual curse words throughout the whole book, and they were completely taking me out of the story. I felt really weird reading them. And also, this might be a really weird thing, but I kind of wish that I tapped in the book every single time that Fallon talked about her nipples. You think I'm kidding? Oh, I'm not. The amount of times that she talks about her goddamn nipples. Like, for example, she's gonna have just a normal conversation with Dante, he's gonna laugh, and she's gonna talk about how her nipples got hard from that. I don't think that's how biology works. Or when she was horse riding for the whole night without a bra on, and she is complaining about her sore nipples. Can we just talk about the fact that it's completely unnecessary? I don't mind people talking about natural human things in books, like, I don't know, having to go to pee, being hungry, but like, I really understand the feeling when, you know, when you don't have a bra and it's just heavy and it hurts, but I don't need to read about it in a book. I felt really weird that that is even there because it has no consequences. It is not connected to anything. It's just like a quirky little thing that the girl doesn't have a bra and her boobs hurt. Now, another thing that is very heavily connected to that, this book felt really weird because on one hand, we have cool fantasy world building with a good plot, but at the same time, we have these corny boob jokes all the time. Maybe this is what they meant when they said that this reminds people of Sarah J. Maas books. So again, I might continue reading this story because I did find it interesting, but I feel like it just needs a bit of work to make it better.